needing arms of grace to hold us through the darkest hour.
Greetings, I'm Krista Jan Ryan, and I am your host today for Recovery from Religion, where we learn to live in the acceptance of our losses and look for the hope and healing through Jesus Christ. And we are doing a new series called Hearts in Need of Healing. And folks, we have a wonderful guest today. His name is Bill Clark, and he is quite the man about town in Bennington. And I got to know Bill Clark through the famous soup kitchen. The famous soup kitchen, which we now call the River Street Church, down here in River Street in Bennington, Vermont, which is a wonderful place. It offers 2 meals a day, 6 days a week.
Yep,
6 days a week, and we have Bible study on Monday and Wednesday nights. But anyway, if you want some good meals and you want to come in out of the cold or out of the heat and you want to come meet some awesome people, it's sponsored by Harvest Christian Ministries, and it's been in existence for 40-some years by Pastor Bob, who had a real heart for inmates. Inmates. And we grew and got to know Bill Clark. You were already out and about, and you had done a little bit of time in prison.
Yep.
How much time?
I ended up doing 4 years.
4 years incarceration, and I know we're not supposed to dwell on the big story, but you have quite a story that's worthy of like film adaptation, and you kept me in the grips of like, wow, how much, and I'm talking not only before, during, but also after.
Yeah, it's been a battle, it's been a road, but I'll tell you, I tell everybody, it's because of God. I know I know if I was to turn away and not follow the Lord, and we all backslide, we have our ups and downs. But I know for once if I ever took my eye off of God and following Him, I'd be right back in incarceration or death. Because some of the things that I used to get in was involved in. So it's because of the grace of God where I am today. Even today, a lot of the stuff that I have today is because of God. And a lot of the stuff that I always pray and say, God, I may not get things right then, but the things that I need, He does provide over time.
Yeah, it was interesting because Linda Benjamin, who always opens up the service with a tithing message, and that was exactly it, that we sometimes don't get what we want immediately when we want them. But I've grown to know that God is forever faithful.
He is. And I'll share this briefly, real quick, just to let you know. Like, my vehicle, I had a Camry. It needed some issues. It was getting ready to die. And Pastor Dee, me and her had prayed. And this was like a year's process. I was looking at a truck. I was like, I want a truck. Apparently that's not what God had in plan for me, because I ended up with a Jeep, and it fit.
Wow.
So it was a whole year, and my car finally died. And not only did I was like, all right, God, look, I need a new vehicle. And it's like, I'm just leaving it to you. All within a 24 to 48 hours, my car literally died on a Thursday. Friday morning, I had another vehicle. I had no money. Honestly, I had no money in my pocket. These people that I do some work for, their neighbors, had seen me and knew I was in need of a vehicle and said, hey, look, we have a vehicle for you. The finance work, they were allowing me to make payments. And let me take it that day. It's like
God's provision.
Definitely an answer.
God's provision, yeah. But you prayed. You were really on top of the praying. You knew you had, and I think that's the hard part for me. Like my needs and releasing them instead of like letting them take it.
Yeah.
Like I still hold on to them, and I think that actually blocks God's ability. When we hold on to things and, you know, keep the hammering and the whatever, I think that really blocks the power of His work.
You know, and I really truly believe that. And just my own, where I am now in life, and briefly if you want. I've spoke before, you know, I came from an emotional trauma home.
Like with a capital T.
Yeah, capital T. You know, I was locked in our basement. I was traumatized physically and emotionally. Lost my father at the age of 17, took his own life, shot himself from me. And that snowballed this whole event of chain of reactions. I lived in the woods, lived in a cave for a year. Went from there, got tied up with the wrong crowds in town, thought they were friends, and that landed me in incarceration. And society just got done, and they're like, look, we're locking them up to life. I was supposed to do it 4 years. And it got to the point where they're like, we're done with you. So
Were you really in that much trouble?
I was in that much trouble.
I mean, I know you now, and I can't even imagine you in
I've
that
always
much trouble.
accepted my wrongs. I've never denied what I did was, you know, was it right? No. Was there circumstances? Yes. But I could have chose different. I really did
We
choose.
all could.
Exactly.
We
But I
all-
don't, you know, God has forgiven me. I've had to forgive myself to be able to move forward. And that didn't happen until I was in a cell in jail, and I finally broke down because I was doing life. They're like, we're done with you.
Well, let's start with God bless Mary Gratz,
Yes.
who used to come
Faithfully
faithfully
to the church.
to the prison,
Prison ministry,
right?
yes.
29 years,
Yep.
right? And you said you used to go for lack of things to
Things
do.
to do, yes. I was in Rutland jail, and before I created a major problem there, and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna go and get out of the cell. I can go do something. Wasn't planning on getting nothing out of it other than a way to spend time. And
Did you feel God tugging on you at all?
at that point, I didn't really know it was God. I mean, I've got an aunt that
I prayed over you like
Yeah.
a warrior.
And so I would go in, I'd hear the word, and I used to be like, these people are crazy, they don't know what they're doing, but hey, I can get out of my cell, I know,
They seem nice.
Yeah, they seem nice.
She brings pencils and paper.
Yeah. So it's like, hey, let's try this. This works. How little did I know at that point the seed was planted. Just as soon as I walked through that door, I had no clue. So just that interaction and involvement, that has been growing ever since. And Mary and I didn't
praying
know.
over you like a...
Yeah, Mary didn't know where I disappeared or went to. She knew I left Rutland jail. I had gone upstate because they transferred me because I was supposed to do 4 years.
Did you go to Springfield?
Oh, I went to Newport because of the charge that I picked up. I became violent in jail. Can't have that, so I got transferred, and that's when they were done. They're like, you're in here for life. So when I went to Newport, I finally, I was there for a while, and then it got to the point where I was locked in this room, and I finally broke down and said, God, look, if you're real, if you're there.
Was it a solitary
It was
confinement?
solitary confinement, so this is like the size of a
You
small
jumped-
bathroom.
you
It's like
jumped
4
it.
by 4.
You jumped an officer.
Yeah. So they sent me
I'm
into
sorry, I
this.
shouldn't
No,
be laughing.
this is how, and actually, it's to give
Worlds-
shed a little light on that.
worlds
I
away.
actually, yeah, I had attacked a guard
Wow.
and physically abused to the brink where I almost killed this individual, and attacked 8 of the other guards, and they're like,
Wow,
can't have
I
this.
didn't know this.
Yeah, this was his whole, and that's what got me transferred to Newport. All my charges were for misdemeanor, vandalism and stuff like
Minor
that.
stuff.
Minor stuff.
Yeah.
And this finally, and it was all that turmoil and all the hate and anger that I had, it came out. And they didn't know that I also had PTSD.
Big time.
Not that it makes it right, but I was having flashbacks. So I was dealing with that, and I didn't know how to reach
No
out. I didn't trust
treatment, nobody knew the story.
Nobody knew, right, nobody
They just
knew.
knew the misdemeanor.
Yeah, so they were seeing this bad side of Bill, but didn't really know what was going on under the shadow of everything. So that's why I finally, and they're telling me, they're like, you're never getting out. And I'm like, I just remember being told, because I went to my worker, I said, hey, I thought, my 4 years is coming up, I thought I'm getting out. He goes, you're doing life. Haven't you read your sentence paper? And I'm like, so I went back, ended up acting out. They put me in solitary confinement, and I just finally, and this room was total dark. And I broke down and I said, God, if you're real, here I am. I am done. I can't endure no more. And the light came on in that cell. I'm being accused again by the guard because the light came on
So
in the cell.
it was a glow.
It was a glow. Yeah, not an actual light.
Glow.
It was a glow.
The Holy Spirit.
Yeah, and they're like, how's he got a light in there?
It's got a candle, it's gonna burn the place down.
That moment, God started really working and changing. I finally broke down. There was a program that was offered for intensive life management. They took 20 of us to be able to come out on the street, and I was one of those that, and I don't know how it all transpired. All I know is it was the work of the Lord. It was God at that point.
Revealing himself to you.
Yep, and if you're really serious, here's your opportunity. Here's your chance. And I took it, and I took a lot of ridicule when I got out on the street, because I did 10 years on pre-approved intensive parole. And
so how long was the program that you were involved in?
The program was for a 10-year program. It was to max out on that. So what they did, they brought you out, and if you messed up at all, I had to sign a contract stating if I messed up any way, I was back and that was it. There was no more chances. So I took it serious. Yeah, and I really took it serious and said, all right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it. And it was hard. I was being called a snitch or a rat. I was being ridiculed because I was working the program. I didn't care what I had to do. I was not going back. So I completed all that and maxed out in September 5th of 2005. I maxed out and walked away. And at that time, we were being told, one of our teachers at probation role said, you aren't supposed to do this. It was a political thing. They just were going to do this program. And that's why FSU and pre-approved furlough is there today, because it works. It showed that at least 2 people made it. It worked.
2 out of
2 out of 20
wow.
made it. We made
Talk
it
about the
successful.
odds.
And it was hard. And I still wasn't really following the Lord. I mean, I believed. I was like, and sort of, I was like mediocre. I was like a lukewarm type, like, okay, well, I guess he helped me out, so I'm on my own again.
Thanks, God.
Yep, I was like, yep, thank you for the ticket, thanks for, I'm good to go. Needless to say, that wasn't the right attitude. Because I still was existing, but I wasn't living. And it wasn't until 2010, I really got engaged with UCS. Got engaged with a worker up there, Sasha, that really helped me.
Is this in Bennington?
This is here in Bennington. Yep.
This is where you
This is
are
where I
now.
am now.
They
Yep.
released you here.
Released me here. And I knew I needed something, and I felt something still tugging at my inside of like, come on, you gotta get moving. You gotta trust people. You gotta do something. And I still didn't quite understand that was God working, but it was. So I believed with Sasha and did the self-esteem to understand who I am and the worth value and stuff. And then I started going to church. And I started going back a little bit to Harvest. And then I pulled away. And I believe it was God. At that point, I knew it was like, all right, this is because I went to Bible Baptist up on Harvard Hill here in Bennington. There was more cut and dry, more laid back, not a lot of music, not a lot of just basically understanding the Bible studies, more low key, but I was getting the word. That was feeding. So I was getting to understand the word, understand who God was, understand faith, understanding how to pray and stuff. That was sinking in. I'm like, oh my gosh. So then I wanted more. It was like that fire was lit internally, and it's like I wanted more. So I ended up going back to Harvest. Then I really started praying. I really felt a connection. And then things had transpired from there, and staying in faith, staying with going to church, reading the Bible. And I backslide. We all, slip, and I have good days and bad days. but I never lose faith. It's like, all right, God, you know, I'm having a hard time today. Here I am. And I don't always know the right words to say, but I know I have faith in God 100%. And that's the thing. I've learned, I just lift everything up to God now. It's like, you know my needs. You know what
he can do a much better job than
I tried, and I was messing up my life every which way possible. By myself, I am a wrecking ball.
Yeah, you're not alone. You're not alone, and I think a lot of us coming to Christ and our faith is recognizing that.
But exactly, and I'll tell you how good God is. And I never was a big believer, but just with my life alone, and with the changes up to today, I had 32 charges.
Let's just, before you jump into that,
Right.
Okay, so you're out in Bennington, or you're coming to the soup kitchen, you're going back to Harvest, and now the whole occupational thing, because I believe we met you in 2012.
Yes.
Okay, so when we met you, we were just about ready to move to Bennington.
Yep.
And you were kind of hanging out in Bennington. I don't remember what you were doing.
Yeah, so at that point, I was still working for the Jewish Synagogue.
Right.
On North Street, yes. So I worked for them for about 5 years. And it was a job. It was only a couple hours a week. Not a lot of money. But I knew God was providing. I didn't have to worry about nothing, but I needed a little bit more. Finances were still struggling.
Oh, yeah.
And I had to pay taxes in because I was getting a 1099 because they didn't take taxes out. So I was paying in. I was like, there's something wrong with this. I was like, I'm not making a lot of money to pay taxes, but I still had to pay taxes. So I looked it up to God. I was like, God, there's got to be something. I'm not asking for a lot, but please, something better, more hours or whatever, or a second job. And he provided again. So I went to, it's called Better Bennington Corporation. They're a downtown organization that does a lot of downtown improvements to bring tourists and stuff into the community.
Right.
I went to them to volunteer because they have a yearly event called Mayfest. I went to volunteer my time to them to help them set up. And the guy that runs the place, John Shanahan, says, I have a job for you if you're interested.
Okay, but who was John, whatever his name is?
Shanahan?
Okay, isn't he like work on the town?
Yes,
okay.
yes. So John Shanahan works with the town, and they take care of a whole different variety of stuff.
For the town?
For the town, yes, for the town.
But wasn't there a clause of no inmates? And
yes, so with that, with the contract and with everything, for one, you had to have high school education, and you couldn't have a background, criminal history. And I'm like, well, I just struck 2 of them out, and I told him, I said, well, I have no education. I'm working on it right at the moment, but I don't have that yet.
Did you go for your GED, or
well,
did you get your
It's funny you say that. So, I was working on my high school diploma. I was struggling with that. And my teachers and my workers are all like, Bill, you're beating yourself up with the GED. I said, no. I said, God's got this. I feel I am to do the high school diploma. I'm going to do it. And they're like, literally, all I could do was do schooling alone. And it was tearing me up because some of the past histories and problems I had in school. So for me,
well, you checked out so early.
Yeah,
right?
So it was hard for me to get back into that setting, and I was ridiculed and stuff in school and picked on and bullied. So that brought back some trauma there that I had to face. Well, God showed me how to face them fears and get through it as well. So I completed my high school diploma in 2015. So I walked cap and gown, went down the aisle, completed that, went back and told John Shanahan that the education piece is done. He's like, that's good. We still have to try and figure out how this criminal part, the background history is going to work. God. So I was like, God, I was like, I'm sorry. I says, what am I doing wrong? What's going on? And I heard this voice, it's like, it's going to be okay. I'm like, what's that? I thought I was going crazy. Like I was talking about hearing voices. but one of the workers through the from here in Bennington at UCS, Betty Waters.
And UCS is United
Counseling Service,
so
yeah.
people know because
Yes.
they throw around the
Yeah.
stuff. So, okay, go.
So there was this outreach worker there that deals with employment, and she's like, she was working on another case for somebody else with the same similar problems with a criminal history, and she was working with the court system with Erica Marthridge. She mentioned my name to her. Erica Marthridge says, "Let me see." She goes, "I'm familiar with that case." She goes, let me take a look at it. We didn't hear nothing. Well, Betty was wanting to call every month. I said, "No, just leave it alone." She goes, "But she goes, I want to see what's going on." I was like, "Look, I'm telling you." I said, "I prayed to God. I've got a feeling it's going to be okay." Dee and I prayed about it.
Pastor G.
Pastor Dee, yep. We sat and we prayed about it. 6 months later, didn't hear nothing. All of a sudden, I get a letter in the mail. Betty's calling me up and said, "Bill, you need to come up here. I got a letter from the state." And she goes, "I'm not for sure what it means." So I go up, and she's got more education than I did. I'm reading the letter. I was like, I almost fainted. Because all of the charges, there's only one charge left, which is going to actually be taken care of, but that's got to come from the governor of Vermont State. So for all the other 30 charges, they've never seen it in the history in Bennington County. Were not just wiped away, they were totally expunged. They were totally destroyed. So it's like I was given my whole life back. God had taken and made it possible for all those charges to be dismissed. I went to Tom Daly, which is a local lawyer here in Bennington County, and I said, "Tom, what?" He looked at it, he goes, "I've been a lawyer for 30 some odd years." He says, "I'm telling you, we've never seen that many charges."
It was a miracle.
Yeah.
It was a miracle.
So that's the power of God, and he's been working in my life right along, and I always had a low self-esteem and never really thought, but as I grow with the Lord and stuff, I'm learning now to where I just lift it up to God. It's like, God, and because of that today, and because of all that, I've got a good job with BBC, and they're...
Yeah, let's talk about what you're doing now,
Yeah,
because we see you around. You really did a beautiful job decorating Bennington.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
I love poor Bennington. It's struggling in so many ways.
Yeah.
You do a lighting, you help do the lighting job
Yep.
for Christmas and the holidays. That is second to none.
I help with the lighting and the downtown. That's all part of my job with Better Bennington Corporation. So my title is actually Downtown Streetscape Maintenance. It's a long title.
And the flowers are phenomenal.
Yeah, the flower, that's not part of me,
Doesn't matter.
but it's part of
Yeah.
our program. So
The
yeah, it's all
program.
ties in. So I have this great job. I have a great boss. God has also stepped in again, and Howard Kong, which is the rabbi from the Jewish temple, has been after me about being on part of the fire department.
Ah,
And-
that's where it comes in.
Yeah, so I never thought that I would ever be able to do there because of my history. And
So they don't allow people with
They don't
criminal
allow
history to come in.
right, they do a full background check, they do a criminal history,
Huh.
and
You'd think they'd want people, no, whatever.
yeah, so I went and I said, all right, and they said they felt that I'd be a good inspiration to the department, I would bring something fresh to them. So it's been a good match. I've been with them going on 2 years with the fire department.
Wow.
Nobody has really seen it all within a year. I've done the training and I'm still learning. But I started it out last year was the company lieutenant, and then this year they bumped me right up to company captain. I was just told for next year that they're going to vote me in again as captain for 2 years running. I'm like, why me? And they're like,
Why not?
Well, that's what a lot of
Why
people are like.
not?
I was like, well, and they're like, you are almost like unique because I wouldn't do anything that I wouldn't have anybody else do, and I look at it, we're all the same, we're all there for the same
Worker
purpose.
among workers,
Yeah.
which is a great attitude.
Yeah, and that, and it really is, and I have people go, oh, you're crazy. I said, I'm telling you, it's because of God, it really is. I praise Him from the time I get out of bed, in the morning, that I can live another day for Him, because of where I'm at, where I was at, where I am today, and I know He's got great things in store for me. I don't know what they are, but I know.
Well, I would think He's starting to reveal Himself to you.
Yeah, he really is, and that's why, and you're right, because now when I get into a jam or a struggle, I'll say, all right, God, I'm leaving it to you. And it's worked out.
So did you ever think, how many years ago, and I don't know what your age is, but did you ever think about that little boy at 12 years old?
Yeah.
And what that must have been, and where your mindset was, and how He nurtured you, and just
That's the
brought
thing.
you where you are.
And you're right. I mean, I turned 50 just this past September. I
was
never
gonna say
thought-
42.
Yeah, thank you. I never thought I would make it to the age of 50. When I look back at what I had to endure and come through, and then look back, and then now that I know God exists, and I know He's always been there, even though I didn't know, it's like how much love and care He has to be back there. And when I look back and I look at it when I was locked in the basement. I look back, it's like, God, wow, God was even there. When I didn't know He was there, He was there. He was protecting me. I should have died. There was so much I should have. But then when I looked, it's like, God was there then, even when I couldn't open my own eyes and see that He was there. And there were so many points along my life that God didn't let me die. And He was showing me, even though I couldn't see, He still showed me, like, I'm here for you. I'm here for you.
Got you.
Yep.
Yeah.
And never knew it. And I mean, I thank God that I finally woken up and came to the reality, like, oh my gosh, God's here.
But don't you think, and this is the thing I always wrestled with, because I beat myself up that it took me 45 years, but don't you feel every step along the way was so critical in your development of getting closer to Him?
It was. I feel everything I've went through made it to where my faith in walking with God is more strong.
Just compounded.
Yeah.
I have a line that I use because I didn't really feel like it was all worth it, and I felt like I had wasted so much time in my life. But one of the things that I say is I thank God for the whole ride.
Yes.
Not just bits and pieces,
No, and I agree with
but
that.
the whole ride from the time of where I was born to the parents to the show.
And you're right. And what I see, and when I look back at where I was at as that child growing up and going forward, when I look back, I can see where God let me try it on my own, and it wasn't good on my own. But when He was there, things were smoother.
Yeah.
Still won't be, but smoother. But every time I thought, oh, I
I
got this.
I always
And I
say,
didn't have anybody fall smack on my face and I'd be like, all right, God, where are you? And He's like, I was there, but you wanted your own way.
and I gave it to you.
Give it to you.
But I always say, when I say I got this, the train wreck is on the next step.
Yep.
So I try not to say I got this anymore.
Yep.
I'm like, yeah, I'll put this up in prayer,
Yeah.
right? Oh, yeah.
And I do that a lot, even at the firehouse. And what I do now, and the guys actually chuckle at me a lot of times, I pray. No lie, I pray.
Praise God.
When I get that call, as soon as my pager goes off, I start praying to the firehouse. And then when I'm in there, because I'm responsible with the captain, I'm the driver. So I'm responsible, a lot of times I roll with a 60-foot apparatus, fire engine, by myself. A lot of other times, I have a crew of 6 in that truck. I'm responsible for 6 other lives plus myself.
And the fire that you're going to.
And the fire I'm going to. So that's a big responsibility, and it's a lot. It is a burden in a way, but in a good way. I have to get us all there safely, and then I have to be able to plan of anybody in there, get them out, and be able to settle it. So I find, it's like, God, I have no clue what's going on. I need you to bless us all and watch over all this and give me the knowledge and the courage and just the guidance of what I need to do. And you know, every time I have a peace, I never second guess myself. It seems like I know what needs to be done. I know what calls
Well,
me
I
to
would
go.
think praying, you're inviting the Holy Spirit
Exactly, yes.
in for
And-
guidance.
Yeah, and I look for that because it's like I'm of the human flesh. I'm my own worst enemy. So I know without God's armor and protection, I'm gonna mess it all up.
Yeah.
And something like that, yes, I have training and all. I know God's been there and stuff with that, but a lot of these calls, it is the blessing of God of like, all right, you know what? And some of the calls have been called down to where they weren't as bad as what they were when the tone first went in. Yes, and that's definitely God's blessings.
Yeah, I have to tell you, I have a real aversion to fire. As a child, my mother was a drunk, and she was a cigarette smoker, and she would continually set the house on fire, and we'd all be stranded upstairs with the fire going. So it's like being a paramedic. It's so far, like, because I can't, see the sight of blood, let alone deal with fire. To me, it's a great fear. And I try not to allow it to paralyze me.
Yeah.
But it's real. And to be able to function, and to me it's beyond stressful. I think being a paramedic and being a firefighter is,
Well, and actually speaking of that, this is where, and I have to touch base on this a little bit about my career as a firefighter. I wasn't quite sure if I was wanting to be a firefighter, and I laid it to God. I said, God, if this is what you want me to do, I'll pass the test, and I'll be able to do it, because when it comes to books, I'm no good at book
the literary.
Yeah, I'm no good at that. And when I was doing just the pre-test in between, I was scoring just enough to pass. And so I just left it to God during the whole, and it was a whole year's course, 350 hours total for the training.
Did you get somebody to help you?
No, so this was,
teacher?
no, so this was all just straight out by myself, and I said, I just prayed, it's like, God, if this is where you want me, I know I will pass that test. And then I would say to him, it's like, God, look, all I want to do is just get a 70 to pass and be good to go. So I was, all the hands-on stuff, all the written tests, I was doing good. The final exam was a 3.5-hour exam. I don't do good on exams. I walked in that room, and the instructor had asked me how I felt, and I said, I got this, me and God's got this. He looked at me and goes, what? I said, I got God on my side, we'll be all right. So jokingly, it's like, I'm just going to pass today and be good with it, and that's it. And this is pro board certified, so this is state certifications. Not only did I pass, I got an 80.
Woo!
I don't know how I did that, and I told people, I said, look, I don't know how I got an 80 on the test.
Was it multiple choices?
No.
It was written?
It was, so you had multiple,
by
but you also had to write in your answers because they wanted to make sure you knew. And there were some of them, it's like, well, I was thinking in my head, it's like, God, what is this terminology? I know it, but what? So, yeah.
That's heavy. That's really heavy.
Yeah, it is. That's why everywhere I go, I always tell people, it's like, it's not really me, it's God that's gotten me to where I am. Yes, I've been following, but it's because of the Lord. It's because
trusting.
And trusting, yeah.
Trusting.
That's the big thing. Yeah, I had to get to the point where I had to fully trust in my life, because a lot of people's like, oh, we don't see him, we don't, you can't touch it or whatever. It's like, you gotta have 100% faith and really trust.
And not doubt.
Yeah.
And not go back.
But he is there, and
This is kind of off the cuff. Do you know of a man by the name of Mark Taylor at all?
I don't.
I'm going to turn you on to him. He was a firefighter, ex-firefighter, and where he is today, I suppose, anyway, he got terribly hurt in a fire, fell, hurt his back. He had to take some time, but in that moment where he was in, like, he didn't know if it was a life or, if he was going to live,
Right.
God gave him this revelation. Well, I have to tell you now, he has become one of the biggest prophets of being able to, like, he knew Trump was going to get in office. He saw this impeachment. I mean, he saw so much, and he attributes it. I'm just going to put this little bug in here, that through the refining of the fires that he felt, because he was a real die-hard Christian.
Right.
He says now that he looks back at it, he said God was giving him revelations back then, but because he wasn't like aware of what God was doing.
Right.
You know, so he said it was just this amazing, you know, we always hear that expression, oh, we walk through fire, right? But I don't think a lot of people think of the implications of a firefighter and the faith and the ability to be able to trust walking through that.
Wow.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, you know, do you really, I know you have the idea I want to be a firefighter.
You know, and that makes sense because, and I was sharing with Dana one day, because part of our fire training, we're put into this firebox that's on fire. Yeah, you have to be able to.
I'm feeling faint right now.
I'm in there, and I mean we have our turnout gear that is supposed to help for 5 minutes exposure.
If it's working.
Yeah.
That's where I would go. It isn't working.
The day we went through that, when I was in there, a lot of the other guys were like, they were heating up. I didn't feel a thing in my suit. And I was telling my chief, he's like, yeah, okay. I said, no, really? I said, I didn't really feel it. And we have this steam coming off, the heat coming off of our gear and stuff. I said, but I never felt it when I was in there.
So do you think it was trust? Do you think it
well,
was...
You're right. So here's the thing. Like before I went in, I was all nervous as heck and panicking. And I was like, all right, God, I'm trusting you 100% of my life right now because we were being told when we're in there, anything can happen. You can pass out from the heat. You can pass out because the air in your tank turns hotter from the natural cool air. So you're adjusting to all that. So it was like I had nothing to worry about. I just let down all my guards and really, and I never thought of that until like days or so after I was talking to Dan about it. I said, you know, I felt what it was like to fully trust God and not worry. Mm-hmm. And I didn't feel nothing when I was in there. When I came out, everything's all, I was like, I'm fine. And the guys are like, I don't know how you did that one, but
yeah.
But yeah, that's thinking back on that. Never really
because here's another thing I really feel, because I see it a lot, is that it seems, and I don't know, but I'm going to trust in it, that the harder our lives have been, and the more we have had to go through, and the more God has brought us out of that, I believe it gives us, I want to say the word perseverance, but I think a lot of it has to do with not only the perseverance, but the trust and the acknowledgement of knowing that we can go through tougher things that most people would rather say, I'm good, I'm just going to stay here on the couch, I'll watch it on TV, right? Where we have been called to be really active participants.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. Yes.
Haven't you felt that way?
Yeah, because even, and you know you're right, because that's one of the things that helps me strive achievements and stuff in life. God is definitely there. I give him the credit because it really is because of him. But I look back, it's like, if I can endure all that I've gone through.
All preparation.
Yeah.
All preparation.
I've got the strength to go forward.
And the thing that I love right now, even though my story is nowhere near as difficult as your story, although my father was, he was constantly trying to commit suicide, but it gives us the ability to be able to feel not only compassion and sympathy, because everywhere I turn, especially in Bennington, but now up in Rutland, my story, I had to walk in the park compared to some of the guys I'm working with in the prisons now. I don't know how they made it. I don't know how you made it. But now, right, we know that now. We know that now, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing that was really interesting is I went to a Christian therapist, and he actually said there's in our minds and in our spirit, we were created to have this mechanism that when it's called an emotional blackout, and that what happens is to sustain us and to allow our psyche to be able to keep functioning, we will go into these emotional blackouts only to come out of them, a little bit later down the road. But at least we're able to sustain ourselves and function. And I think when people come out of that, when they come out of the emotional blackouts, and all of a sudden, reality hits. Like this is where and what I went through. And then if we have a God, and we have a support group, and we have a church, we can go and talk about all of that. Because, and the other thing that he used to say to me is, God will not allow you to remember the emotional blackout until he feels you're ready.
Yep.
And so there, and I feel like is the work of how we deal with the PTSD piece, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so, well, I just find the story is phenomenal, and I think it's just really, really great that you're just plugging along, you're young, you're still young.
Yes.
And I was 45 when I woke up. And then I wait all the time for God to reveal himself to me. What's next? What's next? Right?
Yeah.
And if you're at this stage right now, where you're redoing the town of Bennington, fighting fires, I think to myself, what else could there be? Right? So then here comes the next question. So now you know God, you know you're the son of, that you are a prince and that he loves you and he has greater dreams. I always love to hear, what do you feel or what do you think is the dream in your heart that he placed when he created you?
My dream, and I've really been praying about this, and I know God's purpose for me to a point, because even when you're in United Council Service, they're always reaching out to me to have me share my story and where I'm at as well today.
Yeah, because it's ever unfolding.
What I see the passion in is I try and help everybody I can. And my passion is to hopefully bring the Word of God through my life. Everything I've gone through with my life, to be able to share that and let them know that this is because of God, and to share and get God's Word out there and be like, look, this is what God has done for me. And if I could get that shared to the young generation now, young kids and stuff that are struggling and having a hard time, and even if just to plant that seed for them to know that they don't have to go through that whole amount of years that it took me to finally open my eyes and to get to know God.
Maybe it does.
And you're right, maybe it does. But at least they'll know at the end of that tunnel or at the end of that road, God is there, people are there to meet them and help them continue.
Just seems like we have to get so broken, where it's all the scorecards read 0 till most people, because I think one of the things I love talking about is we were created with self-will.
Right.
He created us. If we didn't have self-will, we'd just be these zombies that just want to, So he created us with self-will to choose. And so, but yet the resistance, myself, I'm just speaking for myself, because I always say that my self-reliance is my pathway to destruction.
Yeah.
The more I rely on myself and everything else, I know what's coming, right?
Yeah.
So it involves helping.
Yeah.
It involves your story.
It involves my story. And I'm grateful for a job. I hear people complain all the time, and I said, you know what? I've at least got a job. God's, blessed me. I don't have, my finances were taken care of. And I try and share with everybody I can. It's like, look, and a lot of people in the community know who I am. And that comfort, be like, it's because of God, of where I am.
Yeah, that's a really humble place to be, and I think people can really identify with that more than somebody who's, ego.
Well, you're right, and the other thing that's been a blessing is this is the community, Bennington, that I grew up in, that I did all my damage. I did all my crime with. And to have a whole community to accept me for who I am now and where I was at, that's God. That's power of God there, because the community is where I did my damage to the people who are still here today that I did damage. They're willing, and have Milton Sudan. I trashed his apartment.
Who?
Milton Sudan. He was a realty place here in town. He's got apartments. And just a few years ago, he walked up to me, and me and him had talked, and I told him, he goes, Bill, I forgive you for what you've done. He goes, I've sat back, and he goes, it's because of you we keep giving people a chance. He goes, we watched how you turned out, and we're grateful for how you've been. So it's like the whole community has forgiven me for what they haven't forgot. We chuckle about it now, but the community has forgiven me, and they see, like you were saying, the work that I do back into the community. It's my way of saying, I'm sorry. And now, on a positive way, I can do stuff that makes our community look inviting for people to come and enjoy it and be, come to downtown to shop and see.
Just drive through it.
Yeah, just to drive through it.
It's beautiful.
So I take really pride in our community in the downtown of what I do, because I know everybody's coming through sees that, and it always ends up coming back, and it's like, it's not me. Yes, I did work. It's God working through me to make this possible.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons why I loved your story so much, because I think basically the average person needs an education to release themselves from the concept of what the inmate looks like, what he went through, what he will continue to go through, and then what does that take when he gets out. And I've always said it, and that's one of the reasons why I do these shows, is that we either love them, allow them, and accept them, and help them, or they're just going to go back, and they're going to, they're not going to be able to make it. And I think it's really important. I mean, that's, to me, one of the biggest steps is being there for the support, for them to come out and, accept them. Just accept them. We don't have to take them home.
Right.
We don't have to go to church with them. I'm just talking about, just accepting them on the average day level of how we treat anybody else who isn't. Right? I made mistakes. I always share with the guys, the only difference between you and me is I didn't get caught.
Right.
I probably
I heard that a lot from a lot of my
Right, I didn't get caught. I probably should have been. I wouldn't think I could have lived through it, right? And what it would have taken to be there. But I think it's just really important. That is a powerful message.
It is.
That you can keep continuing. And I always say that to really make the greatest amends is to live your life.
Yes.
Continually, without having, the I'm sorry, please, gets really old, but a living amend of, how we're living our lives today, like today, right? Yeah. So what are your feelings, just really quick, on this big, huge complex going through? What is it? It's like 70 million?
Yeah.
70 million going up?
You always hear a lot of bad, negative stuff, and I know, I've been praying that, hey, if this is what God wants for our community with the Putnam block and stuff,
it's huge.
It's going to be beautiful. Once people see it's all built and it's done, it's going to bring revenues to the downtown. It's going to bring stability. It's going to bring more people wanting to come in. Tourism, yes. We've got 2 great parks going in that I've been proud to be part of. Park 336, it's a water park. It's
Is that the one right on the corner?
No, this one sets back a little bit. That's another water park, but we got another one that's finally open, and it's for a sanctuary to where it's got a little waterfall. It's
Where's
open.
this?
It's right there on the corner, but down beside, just a little bit up from CCV, which is Community College of Vermont. It's right across from the Putnam block that's being built. It's like
It's a little teeny
inset,
tiny thing.
tiny thing. Yep, it's got some benches in there. We've got plants in there and stuff. Little water park, and you can actually go in there, sit, relax, read, listen to music, and the water drowns out the traffic and everything. So it's like a serenity type thing.
Wow. So just a place to go
Just a
sit
place,
for
yes.
a minute or two.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so it's little things like that, and you always hear the negative and stuff, and you're right with the Putnam block. I'm very excited to see that happening.
I mean, it seems like it's really taken off.
And once again, there's opportunity there for job-wise maintenance and all that I'm being told. I've got a feeling, my boss has talked to me, that there may be things that I'll be able to extend our job of maintaining the outside and stuff.
Oh,
So,
I would think. Oh, absolutely.
but I can't wait for it to be done. It finally took a long time. It's finally happening.
Be approved.
The approved and all that, and they're doing miraculous construction in there. They're working 7 days a week, and it's coming together.
Has there been a projection of a finish date? I mean, I know it's not with that.
There
one.
was, but I forgot exact. I want to say it's by the end of next year or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, they're really.
Are they bringing a lot of, do you know if they're bringing a lot of outside contractors?
No, what they've done is everything has been local, which is nice to
Thank
see.
you.
All the local work, a lot of local residents have gotten jobs there. They have had to do some outside contracting because it was an extensive job.
Oh, yeah.
But everything's been local,
Great.
which has been nice. And it's going to be great. I can't wait for it to be done.
Very exciting. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I really feel that God knows, like, the struggles of
Yeah.
Bennington between the, as we all hear, the drugs, the unemployment, the domestic violence, and all of that. But I think there comes a time when we need to turn our focus to not what's bad to what is good,
Yeah.
and be able to rely on the fact that it's going to be job creation, and it's going to be, you know, inviting for other people, because it isn't, you know, there's a lot of great museums. We love
Yes.
going up to the museum up there, and they have the old Bennington, which I love, up there, the monument.
Yes.
And I don't think we hear enough about those.
No, and actually, I have to share that real quick because with our with my job with Better Benefits Corporation, we are changing the whole scope of downtown. We're promoting more of things that are going on. The other great thing here in town is the Park McClellan House. A guy just recently took over that, and they're going to have tours through there now. There's going to be open hours.
Where is it?
Park McClellan House is over in North Bennington.
Oh,
It's a historic mansion that goes back to the early 1800s. The place is set up as the way when the family died off, all the silverware that they use, the plates they use is all in the original spots. They're starting to do open like a museum where you can walk
Did the
through.
town buy that over, or was it purchased by
I'm not
us?
for sure on the whole gist, but I know we're promoting that to show people there is, because you hear all the time, nothing to do in the downtown. There's a lot to do here, lots happening. And like you were saying, there is a lot of history here and a lot of things that are opening up for the young kids to do. The splash park, that's been a blessing. God is, I know He's got His hand on it. There's been a lot of knockdowns and then it starts coming along. And I pray over it. It's going to be a great thing. And that's right on the corner. It's going to be a splash pad. There's a music stand there for people to be able to do religion, Christian music or something.
Yeah, and we also, we belong to Mission City.
Yeah, so it's
we-
right beside you
We
guys.
was watching it.
Yes.
And I remember when that,
So
yeah.
what I've been praying about and believing in God to do, and I've been saying, God, if you do anything, this would be a dream thing to happen. So when it's all done, the stage will be open, I guess, for the public to be able to use. It'd be great for the Spirit to be put out there and for people to be able to use that to express God's Word and have skits and music.
Baptisms.
Baptisms, yes.
Holy schmoly.
This is what I I don't know the whole thing, but I visioned something happening
See,
here.
here we go with that fire. It's a fireman. You get the visions.
So I've been really fired up about that spot because I hear so much negative. It's like, whoa, God's got his hands on this. I've been praying for this. And it's got the perfect setting. Right now it looks like
it's interesting.
It's like a God's moment because it's dirt, it's gravel, it looks dingy, it doesn't really look
like
like
pavement now with the
right, that's what I'm saying. So it's
you
like he's brushing off this and polishing this and then
like
it's
all
like,
of us,
yeah.
right?
So it's like out of this chaos and mess of a spot is going to be this great little gem.
Yeah. So, well, that's beautiful. That's really, and well, you know, you should get a prayer team. And do you have Pastor Dee Dee to pray for that?
Not yet, but I'm working on
Oh,
it.
get up there, man. That will give you something to
Yes.
really latch on to, you know, because we all want to have, when we have visions, you know, I never even thought about that. And now that will give me something to pray for,
Yes.
right? Because Bennington sure needs it.
We do, yes.
Bill Clark, I want to thank you so much for coming on and really being a part of this series that kind of bringing in people who have, you know, been inmates but have a life that is just beyond their and mine wildest dreams. You know, and all my advice to you is just to keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
You know, and it's just, it's powerful. It's really powerful. And people that even haven't been through as much as you still need to hear your message.
Yes.
You know, between you got to write the book, you got to
Yep.
do the movie, but in the meantime, keep fighting the fires,
Yes.
right?
Right.
Up with all of us. You have been watching Recovery from Religion, where we learn to live in the acceptance of our losses, and as you well heard, and to look for the hope and healing through Jesus Christ. This has been a series called Hearts in Need of Healing, and here we are. We're with a gentleman, Bill Clark, at the Soup Kitchen, better known as the River Street Church in Bennington. And we are so grateful that we can hear stories like this that will bring us to even further our walk. So, Merry Christmas, God bless. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
On the place.